People of Earth, good evening. We are today, July 29, 2024. Welcome to the edition 41 of Star Nation News, where you will hear about the latest events in the galactic and intergalactic life that influence the current events and the future of Earth. The voices from the star people are bringing us hope, news, and also guidance. So, ladies and gentlemen, free people of Earth, sit comfortably and fasten your seatbelts. We are leaving the orbit of Earth. Engage. A very special edition today as we are traveling to the Sirius B star system to meet with Medical Officer Myrah, none other than the Tashkeru Myrah, who was part of the team who rescued me when I was a child. Myrah is originally from planet Nayan in the Sirius B star system, and she spent several decades working in the Sol system for the Galactic Federation of Worlds Medical Corps, serving through different programs. She started as a ship medic under the commandment of Captain, at the time, Thorhan Eredion. I related the experience of my rescue by her team as a child in 2020 in my first book, A Gift from the Stars. This rescue was the moment when I renewed contact with Thorhan in this life, and when I also met for the first time Myrah and the pilots Valnek and Seladion. Myrah worked later on aboard one of the 4 orbital stations of the Galactic Federation of Worlds, as she became a medical officer. There she worked in the field of biotechnology research, qualifying as a neuroimplants expert. While she held this position, I happened to visit her at many occasions and get to know about her work. A particular visit in October 2020 marked my heart and soul forever. As related in my 2021 book, We Will Never Let You Down, I visited a science medical station of the Galactic Federation of Worlds in orbit of Earth. Myrah, which I met, was with her husband, Jay Carr, an exobiologist and a microcellular life engineer. He was assisting her in a peculiar task. They were redirecting hybrid children towards a gate in the station that was leading to departures towards the Alpha Centauri star system, notably planet Silo. These hybrid children were to be adopted by new families. It is then that Myrah explained to me where these children were going and also how have they been here. And she explained to me about the rescue missions performed by the Earth Alliance, how these children were rescued and how they were healed physically and mentally. Myrah also introduced me to her daughter, adoptive daughter, Gaia, an amazing hybrid girl My encounter with Gaia was amazing. She was beaming with a sort of radiance, a consciousness-filled radiance. She was telepathic only. She still is, of course. Using her mouth only to feed. She straight away read into my soul. And in seconds, she knew who I am better than I do. Here is Gaia, Myrah's adopted hybrid daughter. As you can see, she has particular features. She is now with Myrah on planet Nyan, and she is assisting her mother in her work in a big medical center. Gaia has grown up since. She's very thin and tall, beautiful, slender girl. In a communication I had with her recently, I asked Myrah to share for Star Nation News her perspective on the different types of hybrid children. Who they are, where they are, how they are dealt with, and what is their future. Myrah calls Earth Terra, but for automatic translation reasons, we kept the name Earth instead. I am Myrah, Biotechnological Research Officer at the Medical Center in Nyan's capital, Ushuri district. I have been working a lot on the case of the hybrid children of the Do, or Greys as you call them. We call them Dohu, as they have a double genome. There is a fundamental difference between three types of hybrid children that you must be aware of. Firstly, the regular, common hybrid beings, the result of galactic and intergalactic interbreeding, such as the human races of Earth. These offsprings are natural occurrences in the evolution of life throughout space and time. But we will not talk about this case. What you are interested in are the other two categories as follows. Second category, the hybrids that resulted from the Nebu agenda of invading worlds by breeding in, albeit through illegal hybridization programs. Earth was the victim of these despicable plans, and the problem was overcome when the Nebu hive was dismantled. The people of Earth fought bravely, especially the Earth Alliance personnel involved in the rescue operations, working in conjunction with the Nataru Alliance. Brave men and women who sacrificed their lives for the lives of those hybrids. Because it wasn't just children. There were adults and creatures of all ages. These mass hybridizations took place in the underground facilities given to the Nebu and their alliance of the Six by the Earth governments, who agreed to it as a result of deception. Now, the storm operations of the Earth Alliance rescued most of the hybrids, products of these horrible genetic manipulations. They are the ones you saw on the medical ship a few years ago when I introduced you to my adopted daughter, Gaia. I will elaborate later on the process of recovery for these hybrids and the programs we have in place to reintegrate them into society. The third category is those we couldn't save because we could not find them in the first place. They are the same product of hybridization as Category 2, except they weren't stored on Earth, so they couldn't be saved. These were stored in containment facilities in the Orion Zone. We have found many of them, but we are aware that many hybrids are missing. We do not know where they are. They disappeared. The only answer is that they were transported to a parallel dimension in a time bubble. These hybrids were used by the Nebu to influence the free will of Earthlings by serving them deception. For example, the Nebu would bring breeding human mothers to their children and then take the children away from them. As such, these mothers would try to convince everyone to welcome the hybrids to Earth, that they were beginning a colonization plan. To convince this manipulated mother, they would use the good old lie that they were the Earthlings from the future and needed human DNA to replenish their genetic pool. Of course, this was a lie. It always has been. And the Nebu served the same lie on all the worlds they assimilated in this cunning manner. Non-treated, these hybrids were interfaced with the Nebu Hive Queen. That is the first thing we do when we rescue them. We remove the interface. Since the Nebu could not invade Earth by force and risk starting a war with the Galactic Alliance, they instead convinced the Earthlings to agree, of their own free will, to welcome them to their planet. The Galactic Federation of Worlds tried to warn everyone, but the deception was greater. The rest of the story you know well. This is the difference between Category 2 and Category 3 hybrids. They are all the products of similar programs, but their fates differ. If we could have saved them all, we would have. At least we tried. And we did our best. Now, let me give you some information about what became of them and how they were treated. First, how they were treated. The rescue teams always include qualified female psychologists who are the first, after the soldiers, to take care of them and interact with them. These females are most of the time Earth humans, as the DNA resonance helps the hybrids to relate somehow and feel safer in the presence of a being that is not a complete stranger to them. The female aspect echoes as a mother, and the young ones feel safe. After being received by the team of medical psychologists, the hybrid children were taken into the care of the genetics department, where they were placed in lethargy in a first series of pods filled with a nutritive and regenerative liquid. Here, their brain implants connecting them to the hive consciousness were removed. Once disconnected, we could proceed with analysis scans to determine their exact genome sequence. As far as was feasible, we reduced the Nebu DNA quota to the limit before damaging their metabolism. The hybrids were then placed in a second series of pods to regenerate deficient organs and boost the entire organism. They remained in these pods for a day or two. Phase 3 consisted of psychological follow-up. Believe me, this part wasn't the easiest. And they were finally taken out of the pods and helped to evolve among the station's staff, step by step, and very gradually. Most were telepathic, but some could use their vocal cords. It was a huge job for us, really. But the reward was really, really worth it. One thing I discovered with intention motion, and which changed my life, is that love, sooner or later, reveals itself as a latent state in every sentient being. These hybrids began to love us. And all that love was larger than the galaxies. I will never forget it. I adopted one of them. With no viable hope on Earth in uncertain times, hybrids were dispatched to sorting centers, where they were assigned to foster families. The main center was Silo in the Alpha Centauri system, but there were also the Pleiades, Barnard, Tauseti, Epsilon, Eridani, to name the stars in the language of Earth humans. These hybrids are now happy, well balanced, and immensely loved. My adopted daughter, Gaia, is now an adult and works with me as my assistant. She is tall, beautiful, and connected to the knowledge of the entire universe. She is only telepathic, so she always wears a necklace that translates her brainwaves into artificial spoken words. She can turn it on and off when she needs to communicate with non-telepathic species. Gaia is my pride and joy. And in my heart, she holds equal place with my two sons, Dharam and Korigen. They love their sister, as does my husband, Jaykar. Our family is one of a million examples of how these hybrids are being reintegrated into normal life, given a second chance to live, to love, and to be loved. I wish for all the children of the galaxy to know the grace of that chance, for they are our future, our hopes, and the vectors of infinite possibilities. Love, present in the heart of all sentient beings. The words from Myrah are very significant. I am glad that she described the 3 different categories of hybrids the Galactic Federation of Worlds have been dealing with in these last decades. We are all hybrids in this galaxy, more or less. Some planetary cultures are of only one race, one species. It happens a lot. But most of people, are the result of mixing, interbreeding with other races. Interplanetary hybrids, interstellar hybrids, or intergalactic hybrids, we are, and especially on Earth, of this kind. And it is beautiful, because it is said on Earth, in ancient cultures, that the more a tree has roots, the stronger and more beautiful and durable it will be. Diversity is evolution. So that's the first category of hybrids, natural hybrids. And then comes category 2 and 3, who are non-natural hybrids, hybrids that haven't occurred throughout the thread of evolution and natural interbreeding between cultures. No, these category 2 and 3, as she explains, are the products of artificial interbreeding, artificial hybridization, and we use this term when it comes to program. When it occurs in nature, it's not hybridization, it's interbreeding or natural diversity. When it comes to the gray nebule agendas of invading planets by the womb by interbreeding, it's called hybridization program, because it's forced on a culture. It's forced on a culture through deception. Human women, and it starts from a younger age. And it occurred to me, but it didn't have the time to and complete the process. So I was out of it very quickly, because I was rescued, notably by Myrah and the teams of the Earth Alliance and the Galactic Federation, who work at rescuing children. Such as my beautiful friend, Melanie Charret, who is part of one of these rescue missions at the time. Well, category 2 and 3, artificial forced hybridization, taking human young women and bringing them on ships or in underground facilities, in military deep underground bases, and performing hybridization on them, collecting their eggs, doing artificial hybridization and putting the fertilized eggs back, collecting babies, etc. Used as breeding cattle. Fortunately, these practices have stopped totally since since it starts in 1955, but it stopped in 2021, when the Nebu were cast out of the star system. In 2021, the history of Earth changed because these practices stopped. When the Nebu hive was destroyed in Orion. But all these millions and millions and millions of babies, product of these experiments, were kept either in the underground facilities or either on ships on board gray facilities in the Orion zone. All the hybrids who were stuck in the undergrounds of Earth were rescued by these brave men and women from the Earth Alliance, and Solar Warden especially was involved. These ones, so category 2, those who could be rescued, were healed physically and psychologically and brought to loving shelter foster families. Why not on Earth? Because these hybrids, as long as the deep state is still in power, they would be captured, tortured, killed, studied like cattle as well by the deep state. It wasn't safe for them. It's still not safe for them as long as the deep state has some power. They may come back later, but for the moment, they are in loving foster families. Category 3, same people, but who couldn't be rescued, who disappeared. These ones are still alive somewhere and they are still searched for. The search continues. The Earth Alliance and the Galactic Federation of Worlds think they are in another dimension. We need to find them. We will never stop until we find them. If there's still one chance in a million, in a billion, to save one life, we will take it. We will take it. Well, I hope this explanation from Myrah were useful to your understanding and clarify some points. I want last to mention an agenda prepared by the Greys that was implemented on Earth with the breeding mothers. A lot of these women had been faced with their children to create a bond. They would be taken on board a Grey ship and the Greys would bring to them the children and take them back. To create a bond, then these women would be programmed and used to spread the good news. Welcome back, the hybrids on Earth, the Grey hybrids. The Greys are our future, blah, 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 etc., etc. The Greys are us from the future, etc. You remember how the enemy makes us creating the timeline and the reality they want. Well, this is it. That's how they do. Fortunately, the Prime Directive was amended to stop this practice, and it has stopped. Now, of course, you will find some women still promoting the Greys, but these women are still under a programming, and it's too late for them. So anyone who tells you, promotes the grays or the hybrid grays to come back to Earth, you've understood why it is a nonsense in many points. These ones should not be listened to. They are stuck in the programming and we cannot do anything for them. They will repeat on and on again. It is too late for them. They will not get out of this. They are victims. Talking about the grays is now part of the past. They never were our future, but they are now our past, if they are something. I long for you to know this great era of diversity, when we all hold hands together and live together in the greater community of the galaxies. I encourage you to start from today. Tolerate the one who's different, who thinks different, not only looks different. Doesn't mean anything because we all look different at different stages. But the one who thinks differently, the one who speaks differently, who behaves differently, except if this one does harm. This is not acceptable. Thinking differently is the law of evolution. But harming innocent life is not okay. It never was, and it will never be okay. We make the world we want. So what and how do you want this world to be? Love will guide you. Talk to you next time.
Star Nation News was brought to you by Elena Danan. Don't miss the latest news every Monday on Elena Danan's channel. Video directed by StefZak.